Hello again. This is LA Dan. Rashida. Back on YouTube, huh? But in the end, you take it and say that somebody else is taking your post and putting it on YouTube. It's strange. This is the first time that it's happened. So I don't really believe that bullshit. Uh, you can say whatever you want to, but I don't believe it. Because if somebody was going to take it and do that, they would take it and be mocking you or something else. But they didn't do anything. They put up your whole stream, uncut, unedited. But that's here nor there, because that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about what you did say. Now, I still have a big problem with you taking into talking about politics and not voting. But there's some of the points that you bring up that I still think that you're disingenuous about. And then you want to go off and talk about the founding fathers about stuff. Now, some of the stuff, you can't argue with you on it because, you're kind of right, except that you're still being disingenuous. Number one, the founding fathers set up to elect a president of the United States with the electoral college for a reason. That way every state would get their fair share. But then you want to say, well, the bigger states have a bigger say-so. Well, yeah and no. Because the electoral college is set up by population, not by the size of the state. I mean, yeah, the size of the state has a lot to do with it, but it's still set up by population. But you could take Florida and put all the people there, and then take everybody out of that state and put in Florida, and then it would change. That's the way that works. But I think your biggest problem is that you voted for Hillary Clinton, the Clinton cartel, as I like to call them, and you're pissed that she didn't get elected. You just think that, the big states and that the vast majority of people that voted for. Well, the reason why the electoral college is set up the way it is that way the smaller states could get their say-so in it. You see, Trump understood that. He knew he couldn't take it and win like California. It just wasn't going to happen because those big towns were against him. So he went to the smaller states and got their vote. And then you got to remember, too, that Hillary Clinton was so arrogant in what she did that she just knew she had it wrapped up. She didn't have to do anything. See, she only focused on the big states. She didn't want to waste her time going to the smaller states. That's what she did when she got around to even doing that. But still, the founding fathers took and still set it up that way. And again, it was for a reason. That way the smaller states could have their say-so and just not the big ones and the big dense population. See, that you failed to take in and recognize that, Rashida. See, the founding fathers knew that because it was even happening at that time that the dense population area would outvote everybody else. And they didn't want it that way. So if you're going to take in and tell a story, tell the whole story, Rashida. But still, telling people not to vote. The president, or to elect a president on a voting ballot, that's one voting issue against, depending on the size of your town, because like mine, we had 50 other things to vote on. You know, like mayors, judges, sheriff, city council. You know, them people. The people that actually have direct influence over the life. See, you also taken and failed to mention that the president really has very little impact on people's lives. He has an impact on the country as a whole about foreign diplomats and foreign countries. That's his job. But even at that, his main job that we elect him is to be in charge of the military. Not necessarily the country, the military. That's why he's called Commander-in-Chief, Rashida. You kind of left that part out. And then you want to get on to 50 cents again. And capitalism that you don't believe in. You don't believe in capitalism. You believe in bigger government is what you believe in. And the government should dictate what everybody does. You know, and you're wanting to say, well, 50 cents is going along with Trump because of his tax incentive. Well, Rashida, you still have a problem with that. You see, Trump can only suggest, and any president can only suggest what he wants, you know, to cut taxes or add taxes. He can only suggest that. Again, you're misleading people. Because you see, it still has to go through the House and the Senate. Those people get to vote on that stuff. You know, the people that we vote to put in there to where our votes actually count, Rashida. Again, your statement's still disingenuous. See, as much as presidents want to think that they're kings, we still have a process. He just can't sign into law about doing that. He still has to go through the House and Senate to pass those kind of things. Now, if you got people that support what he's doing, that's fine. But they can oppose him just as much, too, and not pass any of those. So again, you're being misled, or you're misleading people. And somebody that's got a master's degree in political science should know that and should be able to express that. You know, the king does not get to dictate to the peasants what he wants. It has to go through other people too. Oh, and then you also talk about you don't like the way the American government works, and then you want to take in a name, because it keeps black people from succeeding. And then you want to name these other countries, including Africa. And if you take Africa and you look at that, and since the apartheid, 90% of the people that are in government there are black, Rashida. And they don't look after their people. In fact, they are worse when it comes to not caring. And I was going to say it makes them look like they're greedy, but they are greedy. And they can be bought cheaply, I might add. And it's a proven fact over there in Africa. And to pass more bills or whatever in their parliament to even oppress their people more that look just like them. So, if you want to talk about that, Rashida, that's a fact. You want to talk about all these rich countries and stuff and the corruption. Our government is the least corrupt. Now, I'll grant you, they're corrupt when in government. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I'll agree with you on that one all day long. And you want to talk about, people that go into politics are self-serving. Well, yeah, they're self-serving. You just got to figure out if they're self-serving in your interest or not. And again, black people need to understand that. And I think in the last 2 elections, going on 3 now, I think black people are starting to wake up and see that. See, you're trying to take in and hinder black people from voting and not say anything to them. That's what essentially what you're telling people. Well, there's no reason to vote because we're not going to get anything that we want. Well, with attitudes like that, if you want to say that you're oppressed, that just makes it worse, Rashida. Way worse. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff there and everything. And you have said, if you could move to another country, you would. Except for right now, you can't figure out which country that you want to go to because they're all corrupt. Again, I say, if you want to move out of the country and give up your citizenship, more power to you. I got no problem with that. I would probably get on a plane with my wheelchair and come down there and help you pack. But I'd rather prefer you to stay. Now, as much as I don't always agree with you, there's a lot more that I agree with you on, Rashida. But still, not voting and telling other black people not to vote, that's just wrong. And to throw away your vote. And I know you've voted in the past, but when Hillary didn't get elected, your savior, you were pissed about it. But again, I say, yeah, you're right. The electoral college brings the president in. And even you got to admit that even with us voting for a president, it weighs on who the electoral college votes for. Even my state that I live in is mainly Democrats. And they still voted for Trump. For Hillary. Because that's what the vast majority of everybody that lives on the west side and up north votes for. Didn't matter that the rest of the state, the 90% of the state that voted for Trump, didn't get our way. Which that I have a big problem with. And it's like our governor that we've tried to get out of office 3 times now that I can recall. And when she came up for re-election, again, 90% of the state voted to oust her, while the big towns that's got the vast majority of population in it voted to keep her in. See, there's where I have problems with politics or politicians and the way that's set up. But then again, I still have the right to bitch about that because I still voted. But then again, there's still the First Amendment, Rashida, where you still get to talk about what you want to talk about. And unlike you, I do support the First Amendment. And you still have the right to take it and tell people not to vote. But I think you do more damage by doing that and holding black people back and down for saying that and telling people not to vote than I do. Because I want everybody to vote. And I don't really care who you vote for. That's the long and the short of it. Because at the end of the day, Rashida, we just got to adjust and go on. And then you wanted to take it and talk about in a civilized society, you shouldn't need no leaders. But you didn't say what kind of civilized society. See, even in a civilized society, which we're supposed to have, not everybody agrees with it, Rashida. Because you don't agree with it. See, that's the problem with civilized society. You're wanting a utopia. There's no such thing, Rashida. Never going to happen. It would be nice to push that way, but it ain't never going to happen because everybody has their own free will and free thinking. Rashida, that's the difference. Not everybody agrees. Anyway, hit the like, leave a comment, and please subscribe. This is L8N. Just my thoughts. Signing out.